Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a massive shift happening right now in the AI economy, looking ahead to the realities of 2026 and beyond, and figuring out exactly what it means for your paycheck. Here's the deal. Everything you've been using for free, it's about to change. And those corporate disruptions we're already seeing are just the leading edge of a fundamental restructuring of how we work. So we're going to dive deep into the data from these predictive models and give you a rock-solid framework to prepare for the years ahead.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the trillion-dollar AI shift, then look at how knowledge workers are under threat, break down the 3 AI income categories, and finish up with a 4-step action plan. Let's get into it.
All right, part 1, the trillion-dollar AI shift. We are moving fast from a subsidized toy to a commercial utility. To really understand this, we have to look at the sheer scale of the money involved. We're currently watching an unprecedented valuation war play out. Looking at projections for March 2026, the source data outlines a scenario where OpenAI raises capital at a staggering $852 billion valuation, backed heavily by Amazon and NVIDIA. And in that same time frame, Anthropic enters negotiations for around valuing it at $900 billion, literally tripling its value in just 90 days. Smart money, the biggest institutional investors on the planet, are making massive bets here. They don't see AI as a passing consumer fad. They see it as the next global utility. Every other business on Earth is going to be built on top of these foundation models, just like the power grid or the internet.
But here's the catch. Building that massive infrastructure requires a totally new business model. And that brings us to this projected number, $2.5 billion. The data points to OpenAI launching a dedicated ad platform right inside ChatGPT, aiming for $2.5 billion in ad revenue this year. This is the definitive end of the free era, folks. Early on, these tools were heavily subsidized by big tech just to acquire billions of users and train their models on our inputs. But compute power is ridiculously expensive. As these models get smarter, the server costs absolutely skyrocket. So if you've built your workflow around free tools, your production costs are about to go up, and that advantage window for early movers is closing fast. We're shifting from subsidized to commercial, and that changes the entire economic relationship you have with these tools.
That brings us to Section 2, knowledge workers under threat, and the human cost of autonomous AI.
Let's move over to the enterprise level to see how this shift is hitting the job market right now. Take Meta, for example. They recently transitioned 7,000 employees directly into AI-focused teams. We really need to grasp the gravity of this. This wasn't just some standard cost-cutting measure or a minor reshuffle. It was a strategic, foundational repositioning toward AI-first operations. They realized that an organization using AI effectively has vastly more leverage than one that just throws more human headcount at complex problems. It's a total rethink of human leverage versus AI leverage.
And we're seeing the brutal, cost-cutting version of this logic play out everywhere. Standard Chartered is ruthlessly cutting thousands of roles, explicitly citing AI automation as the reason for eliminating back-office jobs. Think about what that actually means. A back-office banking workflow, like compliance checking or international data reconciliation, used to take entire teams of analysts weeks to process. Now, AI can execute those workflows without compensation, without healthcare benefits, and without any middle management overhead. We are no longer just talking about entry-level admin work. Highly paid knowledge workers with degrees and years of experience are being actively substituted.
And you know why these cuts are accelerating so fast? Autonomy. Future frontier models, which the source material projects under names like GPT 5.5 or Claude Mythos, aren't just drafting polite emails anymore. They are built to operate completely autonomously. They can independently find a problem, design a solution, test it, and iterate on the results, all without stopping to ask a human for approval at every single step. Enterprise AI has made this massive leap from a passive tool you use to an active agent that does your job for you.
Which naturally leads us to Section 3, the 3 AI income categories. Where exactly does your job fit?
According to the analysis, literally every single income stream in today's economy falls neatly into one of these 3 distinct buckets. As we go through them, I want you to actively think about your daily tasks and figure out exactly which bucket your paycheck relies on, because knowing where you stand dictates exactly what you need to do next. First up, AI vulnerable income. Ask yourself this right now. If your boss asked an AI to do your job today, how much of it could it complete perfectly? If your answer is most of it, you're in a highly vulnerable position. This is your generic content writing, basic data analysis, routine customer service, standard bookkeeping. If your professional value is just producing generic output, you're in a rapidly deteriorating spot. Companies are cutting these roles because AI can do it faster, vastly cheaper, and honestly, often better. If the output itself is your only product, you are right in the crosshairs.
Next, we have AI-resistant income. These are roles depending on things AI just can't do at a commercial level yet. We're talking about physical dexterity, like skilled trades, high-trust relationship management, where clients stick around specifically because of you, or roles requiring strict legal accountability, where a human literally has to sign on the dotted line. But here's the harsh reality from the data. This category is only safe for now. It is absolutely not immune permanently. With robotics and regulatory shifts advancing, many of these functions could face major disruption in the next 3 to 5 years.
Finally, we have AI-amplified income. This is the holy grail. This is where everyone watching needs to be. This is where your human judgment, your unique strategy, and your creativity direct the AI to produce exponentially more than you ever could on your own. Think about a high-level consultant who uses AI for all the heavy data lifting, getting 2 days of analytical work done in 2 hours, and then using their human brain just for the high-level strategic refinement. In this category, you are not competing with the machine. You're the one directing it.
So, how do we get there? Let's dive into Section 4, the 4-step action plan to AI-proof your income.
Based on everything we've uncovered about these market shifts, here is your concrete 4-step action plan to move your career completely out of the vulnerable zone and into the amplified space before the disruption hits your desk. Let's break down exactly how you execute this.
Step 1, you absolutely must audit honestly. Set aside 30 minutes today and take a hard look at your income streams. Look at the last 5 things you delivered at work. Was it just basic data compilation, or did it actually include strategic recommendations that required your unique insight? If clients or employers are paying strictly for the output, and AI can make that output, you are vulnerable. You've got to strip away that comfortable, trapped employee mindset and look at the reality, because ignoring it isn't going to stop the automation wave.
Step 2. Add a judgment layer to literally everything you do. The way to survive this isn't to stubbornly fight against AI. It's to move up the value chain. Stop being the generic producer. Think of it like being a movie director. The director doesn't act in the scene, and they usually aren't holding the camera. They guide the entire vision. That's what you have to become. A generic writer is vulnerable, sure, but a writer who acts as a strategic director, providing the editorial vision, understanding the audience, and applying complex judgment on top of AI-generated drafts, that's a high-level service AI just can't replicate right now.
Step 3. Build toward ownership of compounding assets. This is huge. A salary tied to a vulnerable function simply vanishes the day it gets automated. But digital catalogs, highly engaged YouTube audiences, dedicated email lists, these are compounding assets that survive even if your specific 9-to-5 job totally disappears. As the platforms get more expensive and the free AI era ends, owning your audience instead of just renting access to it through an employer becomes your ultimate economic shield.
Finally, Step 4. Develop AI fluency immediately as a core professional skill. And listen, by AI fluency, we aren't saying you need to learn to code from scratch. We mean mastering prompt engineering, learning to build custom GPTs for your specific workflows, and using automation to connect different systems. The companies thriving right now are actively building around people who work effectively with AI. The individuals keeping their jobs and frankly growing their incomes are the ones treating AI as a massive productivity multiplier. There's a skill gap right now that gives you a massive advantage, but that gap is closing every single quarter. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this one vital question to ask yourself today. Look at what you do for a living. Is your value merely in the output, or is it in the judgment behind it? Because in the next 3 to 5 years, that simple distinction isn't just going to dictate your job title, it's going to entirely determine your financial survival.